We're officially in the second year of the 5th generation, and to be frank, K-pop stans are tired. Every aspect that made K-pop enjoyable just sucks ass right now, and it's almost as if nothing can redeem it. The music isn't hitting anymore, there's no real creativity in the space, awards are being dished to the undeserving, and the untalented are taking over popularity rates. Fan content is not all that funny, KTube is literally dumpster diving for video ideas that sound even remotely cool, that is if they're not recycling the brutally honest K-pop opinion videos like climate change depends on it. As for K-pop fans themselves, they keep fighting every other day over something useless and irrelevant, they stream songs to beat other groups' records to prove a point, therefore leading garbage to be pedestaled, sending the message to those in charge that more garbage is what the community wants, running their own cycle of demand, attack, harass, threaten, rinse, and repeat, leaving sometimes very real and permanent damage to the reputation of artists. Every business week, a K-pop idol is offending some minority community somewhere, that is if they are not leaving their groups every other Tuesday by the drove, like there's some mass migration plan the rest of us know nothing about. All the while, K-pop companies' tactics to handle these issues keep getting worse with no effort, let alone intention to improve. Yep, it's exhausting, isn't it? We as a community have reached a little something called K-pop fatigue. The total mental exhaustion caused by certain aspects of K-pop standing culture that have been sucking the fun, life, and joy out of the community. While it would be fair to say that K-pop was never primarily about the music, we can't deny that there was a time when the music did matter, definitely a lot more than it does right now. And as generations, one after another, keep rising, the music is driven further away from us. The aspect of enjoyment matters less and less, and the exhaustion of putting up with what it has been replaced by, which is drama, noise, and more drama, is starting to weigh in. Fans are literally begging for answers online on how to get away from the grip that K-pop has on them. Because as bad as this sounds, the worst part of all of it is that despite the exhaustion, people can't stop. Your brains have become accustomed to getting dopamine from all the things that make K-pop so fatiguing in the first place. So much so that doing literally anything else feels foreign to them, making their brains freak out just at the thought of it. It's almost like an addiction, and I just know someone related to everything I just said deeply. But as bad as everything I laid out sounds in the last few seconds, it really isn't all that bad, and I promise you that it can get better. I know this why. Because in spite of all these things that have happened this year, I actually enjoyed K-pop 2025. From fun songs to creative music videos, the engaging documentaries, and impressive performances, I had plenty to keep me entertained throughout this year. Kiki's sophisticated debut album, Isla's creative and magical comebacks, Heart's sexy comeback, and mixed comeback, Youngso finally getting to debut and the arrival of All Day Project, A Bloom getting to debut, Meow's impeccable stages, Monsta X's full group return, VV-Up upping their music, videos, and songs, Cortis's introduction through their music and documentary, Garam slowly coming back to us, Blackpink's solo albums, IVE's tours, Lollapalooza performances, LE SSERAFIM's flawless albums, Artemis giving us Album of the Year, and Everglow planning their return. J-Hope interacting with my faves, his interview with Sana, Lisa performing at the Oscars. Seriously, this is not even half of it. With everything given, this year was a relatively good one. No, by no means was it perfect. Some music was lame and redundant. Idols are still getting harassed online. Fan wars broke out several times, false accusations were thrown around, and some idols decided to act a fool. But that did not keep me from enjoying myself. There's no magic trick or potion to achieving this state. Literally anyone can enjoy K-pop, even when so much of it can be depressing to some degree. And as your self-designated fairy god sister, I have decided to make you my new project. Sorry, still in the wicked phase. I've decided to make it my mission to drag you out of the state of misery and teach you how to manage your emotions well enough so you can go back to enjoying K-pop and hopefully other things outside of it again. And no, we will not be giving you lame advice like, just get off Twitter. Nothing like telling someone with an addiction to just stop having it. Great advice. Instead, in this 20-something minutes, in which I've already wasted 3 of them, I'm going to get you to understand why you feel the way that you feel about K-pop, how natural and totally normal feeling this way is, and how to get out of it in a way that won't have you falling back into that state again. So grab your drink, grab a snack, grab your homework if you're listening to this podcast style, and let everglow-up work her magic. I'm not the usual type to validate every damn feeling under the sun, okay? Because some of you are very dramatic, unreasonably sensitive, and straight up ridiculous. However, this is one of the few cases where the feeling of exhaustion of the current state of all things K-pop is valid for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. But it's also important to recognize that these feelings aren't new. That is why I wanted to start this conversation here. Oftentimes than not, when you're caught up in a feeling about something bad, your hormones have a habit of flattening the parts of your brain that are responsible for emotional regulation. causing the sort of exaggeration of how bad a situation is through cognitive distortions. For example, you get caught up at work and forget to respond to a text. You immediately assume the person on the other end thinks you are ignoring them deliberately, when in reality, most people would just assume that you are busy, asleep, or doing something else. One of the things that can help you regulate these unhelpful thought patterns is recognizing that this is not a unique situation, meaning it's happened before and you are likely to survive. About 4 years ago, that will be November of 2021, I remember K-pop stans having this exact same conversation about K-pop. A YouTuber made a video about this exhaustion, to which I commented that my sister had described it as going to Disneyland every single day. Mind you, this was in the thick of COVID, nobody had left their homes in almost a year, and the internet, for the most part, was their only source of entertainment. And for many, K-pop was a sort of escape from reality, escaping dealing with the feelings of being trapped, or unfortunately for some, a way to escape their own families. Everyone was trying to adjust literally every aspect of their lives in order to create what would be essentially the new normal for a while, turning everything into an adjustment we didn't plan for, which to some degree increased our desperation to find some place, any place really, to go so we can get away from all of it. For K-pop stans, however, there was already an escape, the K-pop world, which was at the same time booming in the international market. So the overstimulating music videos, thousands of groups to discover, 7-member group that you found out about today that you need to learn everything about them from their birthdays to their comebacks, 5-member group you find out about tomorrow through the recommendation, the comments of a video where you found out about the 7-member group earlier. The never-ending company release content to consume, fan-made videos from the never-ending company release content to consume, the crazy world of K-tube and all their think pieces, emotionally charged scandals popping left, right, and center that everyone and their cow had opinions on. Fan calls, online fan meetings, concerts, comeback after comeback every week, K-pop Twitter, K-pop Reddit, K-pop TikTok. It was literally a carnival containing a million different activities with something for everyone. But there's a downside to escaping into such a space. The side effects tend to kick in quicker than expected. As the creator said in response to my comment, cotton candy for every meal means cavities and stomach aches. But those were the feelings of an audience plagued with recycled girl crush concept, tired of most boy groups sounding exactly the same, and yearning for something fresh outside of the box. This was an audience that was yet to experience IVE, LE SSERAFIM, New Jeans, 50/50, the original one, and calm down a little once they arrived at the scene. 4 years later, we're here, yet again, having the exact same conversation. What was once a hobby you would happily spend hours on a couple of years ago has turned depressing, and the sight of the rides at the carnival alone make you physically sick. Just like in 2021, what's going on here is a cycle, one that has occurred plenty of times in generations before. Prior to 2021, precisely second generation stans, they found the third generation to be boring, uninspiring, and failing to carry the greatness of those before them. Despite this, that generation brought some of the largest number of fans to the industry, even creating the biggest groups with the most impact. And that cycle repeated when the fourth generation was still finding its footing, with the third generation stans calling them unoriginal, inauthentic, and throwing around the word flop every time they didn't do BTS numbers on the charts. Yet that generation sprung forth amazing groups with impressive creative direction and enjoyable music. Now in 2025, those same feelings are on the verge of meltdowns at the thought of never enjoying this hobby again. So it is for them that I point out this cycle to say, you are not having an existential crisis. You are not dying. It's not the end of the world, or K-pop for that matter. I need you to stop acting like the entire industry is doomed based off your personal subjective feelings. If you want to overcome this dread, you're going to have to start with treating these feelings as completely normal. Your brain is having a sensible reaction to consuming too much of something that was designed to overstimulate you in the first place. Everything has become dull and repetitive for your brain. And once you understand that, you're able to take the necessary steps to get out of this cycle into making K-pop fun again by implementing the next step, getting rid of the parasite that is being available to everything. Oftentimes than not, when someone begs for advice on what to do with the struggle of K-pop fatigue, the responses they often get is, just get off Twitter, just stop consuming all the negative stuff about it. I hate that advice, and more importantly, I'm disappointed that I was once the person who gave that type of advice. Through personal experience, recovering from burnout over the course of a couple of years now, I've realized that advice can be detrimental and worsen the condition. Shocking your system from spending so much time on the garbage side of K-pop social media to immediately starving it with no warning does nothing except make you hungry for more. And once it decides it can't take the starvation any longer, you'll snap back into re-downloading all your social media again, making it 10 times harder to get out of it. I don't discount that this may work for some K-pop stans, but I just know someone in the comments will try to treat their personal experience like it's a general rule of thumb. Shut up, okay? We get it, it worked for you. But that doesn't mean that it works for everyone else. But for those it doesn't work for, it happens because your brains are wired to protect them from harm. Forcing it out of a space that it has decided is comfortable, for one, causes it to panic, fighting against you when you try to break out of it. Your brain can adapt to something based on repeated habits and experiences, and after so many years of conditioning it to pay attention to every fan war, feel the need to give opinions to every scandal, pay attention to every piece of K-pop news, to feel the need to respond to every other tweet that drags your face, that dysfunction has become its home. Every attempt to get out feels foreign and scary. That is why some fans cannot resist the toxicity even if they know it's bad for them. In an industry where to a large degree success is measured by how much one is being talked about, the dysfunction is barely challenged, keeping you stuck in its cycles. So what do? I have found that what makes the biggest difference in cases like this is slowly but surely training your mind to gatekeep your time and reactions. I'm sure plenty of you have heard me equate K-pop stans' anger to being worth $2.99. I say this to point out how easy it is to get a rise out of most of them. Humans by nature are emotional beings, and the K-pop industry understands that, which is why emotional marketing is one of their most tried and true strategies. So what do you do to keep that from happening? Keep people from getting a rise out of you? The same rise that leads you to engage in unfruitful discourse with literal idiots on the internet? Growing up, my dad used to tell my sister and I that winning in life was simply mastering a set of emotional skills. And if you can master how often and how quickly you react to any given situation, you become harder to manipulate, especially where social media is involved. I learned that through the course of my channel. In the earlier years, I struggled with the need to defend myself out of fear of being misunderstood. And unfortunately, that led me down a spiral of reacting to every accusation thrown at me. Even worse, I learned that my constant self-defense was only creating more chaos for my mind. Of course, I couldn't save myself by just ignoring the comments, because anytime I opened my YouTube studio on my phone or my tablet, they were right there waiting for me. And it's kind of like being under a spell where seeing one comment made you see all the others subconsciously and you start reading through them. It's ridiculous. And every time I did that, I felt the temptation to respond. So I started a technique to help with this addiction to constantly defending myself. So at any point I came across a comment that I either hated or made me feel bad and gave me the itch to give this person a piece of my mind, because as you guys know, I am very much capable of that, I found something else to do immediately. Anything from watching a video about something unrelated to K-pop to straight up leaving my phone to go chat with my mom downstairs, cook a meal, draw something for a certain period of time. Sometimes it'll be about 5 minutes, others it'll be about 20 minutes, that I found out that as time passed, I either didn't care about the comment anymore because my mind was already focused on something else, or if I did care, when I did respond to the comment, I did so with a lot more responsibility compared to the past. I'll challenge you to apply this method whenever you're on social media. You come across that one video with an unflattering opinion on a group you like, clock off the video immediately and go watch something else entirely for 20 minutes and see if you still care after that. Come across a tweet with something mean about an idol you support, keep scrolling for a few more minutes, or get up from a phone and do something else and see if you still want to comment on it after 2 hours. Small steps like this reassure your brain that everything is still fine even when you don't engage. It will slowly start sifting through the junk, learning to ignore things that don't mean anything in the long run. Click and rage bait, while they might cause you mild annoyance, will not control your reactions. You will. It makes your time more expensive and teaches you to gatekeep your energy. Not every headline deserves your reaction. Not every think piece on Reddit is worthy of your precious time. You could be spending literally anywhere else, doing literally anything else. As you do this, you will start responding to things that actually matter. That brings us to the next important skill. Learn to respond, not to react. Now, this is not another TikTok-style brain rot, dark feminine energy advice. This is a practical step that will teach you emotional intelligence faster than most things, saving you hours of your time in the trenches of K-pop TikTok, arguing with people you know damn well aren't as smart as you are. This is the art of caring less. I'll let you in on a little secret. There are topics and scandals that I do not cover on this channel because I don't give a shit. I am aware that in this political and social climate we are currently in, caring about every little thing is treated as the epitome of goodness. And that not speaking up in any way that validates strangers' feelings is a sign that you are secretly bigoted. But here's a reality check. You as an individual cannot care about all these issues without running insane. And the same applies for K-pop. One of the major reasons so many get fatigued with it is because they care about every single issue within the community, heavily investing so much emotional labor only for it to mean nothing in the coming months. Their brains, however, never forget these experiences, and eventually the toll it takes catches up to them. That is where all the fun gets stripped out. Example, recently there's been plenty of outrage against the members of All Day Project for allegedly excluding Youngso and making her feel bad for loving Pink so much. Now, never mind the fact that this information was misconstrued and the person accused of hating her for loving Pink is the same person who said in that exact same live stream that she can't resist Pink things because she feels compelled to buy them for Youngso. Plenty of people attacked Annie, cutting clips to prove that she is a bad bandmate to Youngso, only for the information to be cleared just about a week later, leaving so many stupefied by their over-the-top defense of a girl who quite literally didn't need it in the first place. This is the reality of living in a social media climate such as ours, that claims that if you don't believe every accusation, care about every social justice cause, or do not say something on Twitter about some injustice you cannot solve, you are a bad person. I challenge that by saying you aren't bad. You are just human, and you should not be guilt-tripped into saying something every single time. For those who roll their eyes at the Youngso drama and kept scrolling to stuff that is actually worth their time, not only conserved their energy, but they spared their brain from needless worrying about something that really wasn't a problem to begin with. When I say careless, I'm not asking you to be heartless or be a psychopath. I'm suggesting that you become emotionally intelligent. Learn to read a headline and say, damn, that's crazy, and keep scrolling. I guarantee you, in a week, you'll come across that exact same story being clarified as not that bad. Not even just that, I would actually say take an extra step and intentionally pay attention to fun pieces of information about K-pop. An idol says something fun on Bubble? Laugh about it. A group releases a song so bad that you can't help but joke? Get in on the jokes. Fans make compliments of sweet interactions? Comment on it. Relish and focus on that specific content that is designed to make you feel good. At first, it's gonna feel a little bit foreign, a little bit forced, but it's training ground for your brain that you need. And as time passes, it'll get easier. And when it does, I will go even further and say, get out of your way to ignore some scandals and expose. If it is better for your psyche to not care about the content being produced from these issues, don't. Even if I'm the one who's talking about them. Sometimes when it comes to these scandals, nothing you can say or do will change it. No amount of commenting on it will fix it. And believe it or not, people can and live without your input. Those that guilt you into caring will be nowhere to be found when you crash and burn after emotionally investing into every scandal. You have to pick up those pieces by yourself. But if you're one of those people who just can't help it and need so badly to know what is happening, let me direct you to a little bit of inner work. FOMO, aka the fear of missing out, is a deep anxiety one feels that others are having a rewarding experience elsewhere without you. Driven by the human need for connection, those that suffer from it often develop an obsession with social media, trying to keep up with everything that is happening to soothe their anxiety. Which is really sad, and I don't say that to shame, I say it with sympathy. My suggestion would be a palate cleanse for your social media. I just know that a lot of you follow 25 different K-pop news accounts and YouTubers you do not need to be looking at. My suggestion, try and following a couple of them. You know you don't need Panchoa and Korea Boo on your Twitter feed. You know that. You know that you don't need the perspective of 5 different K-tubers on how Tarzan does his hair. You know they're all gonna say the same thing, that he's racist. You know they are. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that you're not missing out on anything you ought to know. Half the time, these platforms carry opinions either they copied from Reddit or each other. And very few, I mean very, very few times do they give you a new perspective on these issues. So why follow so many over the irrational fear that one of them in some rare instance might say something valuable that you need to know? Another exercise you can carry is not opening the comment section. It's usually never worth it. Anytime I come across an interaction between Enhypen and TXT on TikTok, I never open the comments, ever. They're always fighting, and it doesn't even matter, they always blame each other for being responsible for the fan war. It's not worth it. What is the point of opening a comment section where I know that some loser will definitely piss me off and rile me into an argument? It's never worth risking it over some desperation to know what is being said in fear of missing out that something important may be said without your opinion. It's necessary to address the root of this fear, which is the fact that it comes from wanting to be included. And I think it's important to personally unpack where that is coming from you personally. Perhaps in your personal life, you are in an environment where you aren't listened to. Maybe your ideas are sidelined before people give them a real chance, or worse, you're one of those with a friendship so shallow that the latest K-pop gossip is the only foundation block to your relationships, so you need to stay on top of everything, otherwise you'll be excluded from conversations. Maybe you're the type who's developed an unhealthy level of self-importance from all that garbage that self-love TikTok teaches you, that make you think that your opinions always need to be heard or the world will fail to spin without them. Or maybe that your self-importance actually comes from getting likes as validations on those opinions that you give in the first place. Whatever your reason is, be honest with yourself. We won't judge, we can't judge what we don't know. But one or more of these reasons is fueling your fear of missing out and feeding your addiction to this K-pop slop. That false sense of coolness that you get from knowing what is being most discussed is messing with your brain and making K-pop harder to enjoy. Speaking of coolness, I will say that there's a generic piece of advice from the interwebs on how to deal with this problem that might actually work if you implement it properly. There's a little something called the joy of missing out, where basically you relish in the coolness of not being chronically online and not knowing everything that's going on. I'm not sure if some of you have seen this lately, but there's a rise of an era where being offline is being treated as social currency in luxury and character sophistication. Literally, people are showing up online just to flex how offline they are. Celebrities want to be noticed by paparazzi reading books, the influencer girlies are talking about quiet time with themselves, the whimsical girlies have several shots of them frolicking through the fields. It has become a trend. Being the person in the room without all the information about the latest celebrity gossip makes you interesting, because it leads others to wonder, well, what do they do all day if they're not online? But as I mentioned earlier, going offline hurriedly may not be the solution, so I have two suggestions encompassed in this strategy. The first one sort of ties with making your time expensive, and that is after cleansing your social media of the Panchoa slop, creating a short list of groups and idols you really, and by really I mean actually, enjoy and that make you feel good. Make those the ones you keep up with and are worthy of your time. For example, it's no secret that I'm a big fan of Wonyoung, and I mainly became one due to her impeccable discipline, which is something that I did not have the healthiest relationship with at that time. She then became a source of inspiration for me, and every time I see her, I am determined to better myself. With Yujin, it's confidence. With Islet, it's comfort and the beauty of girlhood. With Monster X, it's good music. Literally a chunk of my scripts are typed out while listening to their song. Let what makes you feel good be the focus of your K-pop obsession, especially when it relates to social media. Follow fan accounts dedicated to posting these idols' pictures and editing fun content. Let yourself miss out on all the drama, the fan wars, and the noise, because while you'll no longer belong to that community, you're joining a new one. The cool people with higher social currency with better things to do than argue with losers. The next suggestion to deal with K-pop fatigue is also a proactive solution, which would be creating a separate account on the social media platform you use the most. In that account, shape your algorithm and recommendations by watching videos or content, only everything that you enjoy outside of K-pop. In mine, I have movie character analysis content, baking content, philosophy content, true crime content, history content, femininity content, floral arrangement content, basically all of my hobbies in one account. This space will be your escape once your brain tells you that K-pop has become too much. Replace K-pop as an escapism hobby by finding another space of escape where your brain can actually relax. And if you're one of those who do not have hobbies, don't worry, I'll link creators that I actually watch below with videos filled with ideas of new hobbies that you could pick out and try. And by the way, the whole point of a hobby is not to be good at it, but to give yourself leisure and rest, which your body needs to function properly. On the last trick that I believe will help and make the most difference is to normalize boredom. Oftentimes or not, people treat boredom as a state of emergency. That leisure and having nothing to do is a sign that you're an unproductive bum. And this is happening during the time when influencers are pushing 6, 5, 4:30 a.m. morning routines. It's not impossible to feel like being bored or not turning your leisure time into something productive is bad. Another reason why boredom is so demonized is that people do not want to be left alone with their thoughts. They constantly need a stimulant, whatever that may be, to keep them distracted. And K-pop, being marketed the way that it is, provides that perfectly. It is no wonder people cannot have fun with it anymore. They don't remember what it's like to be bored. Constant stimulation always leads to higher tolerance for excitement, which can eventually turn into mental fatigue. So even when a good K-pop song comes along, you find it hard to enjoy. Sometimes it is a good thing to have nothing to do but just lay in your bed and look at your boring ceiling, because it is moments like that that create a healthy appetite for enjoyment. In times of boredom, you are forced to think for yourself. As in really think for yourself, not what Rose Stan 1212 told you. It helps you self-reflect, and not to be rude, some of you could really use it. And more importantly, it makes you seek out better hobbies to entertain yourself. So how do I cultivate boredom to help me enjoy K-pop, Cheryl? So glad you asked, because there is no easy way to do it. You have to, like other suggestions I've made so far, train your brain to be bored. You're gonna have to schedule it. Yep, time yourself, literally. Set a timer aside every day for 5 minutes and sit there with nothing more than your thoughts. I know, very scary, and that 5 minutes is going to feel like hell at the beginning. But if you do it consistently, increasing the time as the weeks go by, your brain will memorize that it is sometimes okay to have nothing to do. As you get better at it with experience, you can try scheduling a whole day of a week where you don't have anything to do with K-pop. Everything you missed today, you can catch up on tomorrow. And I know it will be boring, but that is the point. More people would enjoy K-pop if they allowed boredom into their lives, if they didn't really need the social media slop and brain rot to keep themselves stimulated all the time. K-pop itself was built for stimulation, and the best way to resist the hold that it has on you is to do the hard but necessary work of retraining your brain. The best part about boredom is that it helps build your resilience. By learning to tolerate boredom and resisting the urge to eliminate the discomfort that it brings, it boosts emotional self-control. Say, the self-control you need to not engage into all K-pop drama, to not like every tweet, to not argue with idiots during fan wars, and to not have a meltdown at the sight of a new scandal. The very things that people tell you not to do if you're fatigued by K-pop can be developed by learning to be bored. Before concluding, there is just one more point I forgot to add. Just think of it as a bonus tip. It's something that I've discussed on this channel before and it bears repeating. Let go of your obsession with nostalgia, please. I have come to realize that K-pop has become less fun for so many because of their desperation to feel that first-time discovery experience again. But the truth is, that first time is unique for a reason. You only ever get it one time. It's not coming back. The belief that K-pop will never be exciting until you feel like you felt in 2018 or whenever it is you became a K-pop fan is robbing you of enjoying what you have in the moment. So when you find yourself going to that rabbit hole, instead of bitching about it, listen to music from that time. It's not going anywhere. Make a playlist, have a concert in your room, and reminisce. I mean, it's a better way to do it than making a hit tweet so that other miserable people can join you. Enjoying K-pop is not an impossible task. It's simply building new habits necessary to make that possible. By reducing the amount of toxic content you consume, learning to make your time and energy expensive, cultivating new hobbies, and normalizing getting bored in your personal life, you would be surprised how much you can actually enjoy this community. Are there aspects of K-pop that sucks, that are actually fatiguing? Yes, of course. But you can't let them control your experience of something that you should be genuinely enjoying.